Welcome, everyone. This is Polly News, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Krister.
Hello.
And Cinders.
Hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of LOTRO, where we have some news this week. Of course, we have another bull rower build. This is build number 3. So they finally have added the first round of testing for the streets of Rahalbach. And now I did not have a chance to test this one up. Either I missed in the notes that it was now available, or they had a second round of it this week. And that was added during the second one. And I didn't hear about it being up until Friday. It looks like there's still a couple things that need to be fixed with it anyway. So maybe it's just as well that I didn't have a chance to play it. So maybe if there's a bowler next week, I will try that. So that is the other new one. But it looks like there was something about scaffolding in that particular instance, because they're saying that they were having some trouble with the scaffolding during the current phase of it. So it wasn't completable at this time. But they do have some other notes in here where they have made some tweaks to the Forester event, where players can no longer exploit the last gate of the Forester event by going through in the opposite direction. Why do players always look for a way to exploit things?
It's like a reverse exploitation. Who thought of that though? Like, what happens if I go backwards? Like,
all right, move on backwards by touching your nose.
Hey.
Yes. Players now need to turn in the quest for the Forester event to receive their winner and runner-up rewards. I presume that someone was finding a way to exploit the old system. And axes in the Forester event now spawn when the event is ready to begin. This should eliminate the exploit where players were getting the axes without an induction.
Seriously.
Boy, think of the timber industry.
This is nuts.
This is nuts.
To quote Terry, this is why we can't have nice things.
This is why we can't have nice things. I mean, I'm wondering how many exploits are we away from them just deciding to tear down the event completely. Let's then go into classes and skills. For Bjornings, bash bleed damage has been increased by 50%. All forms of thrash now have a 0.3 second cooldown, and expose cooldown reduced from 6 seconds to 5 seconds. For the burglar, when specialized in the Mischief Maker, reveal weakness now reduces your miss chance and increases your evade rating, but does not lower enemy physical mitigation. So therefore, the Mischief Maker has slightly different bonuses from reveal weakness. Cunning Attack now reduces enemy physical and tactical mitigations by 3% for 20 seconds. Flashing Blades and Subtle Stab Devastating Criticals now correctly receive the same damage bonus as regular critical hits. Coup de grace offhand hits now receive the correct bonus of positional damage. When specialized in the Mischief Maker, Startling Twist will now apply a minor rent armor to enemies, but there is a bug in the current bowler build, but I think that's the intent at least. And Revealing Weakness can stack with at least two burglars up to 2x on an enemy. For champions, the Cardinal Essence of Glory will now increase masochism mitigations by only 2.5%. Masochism now improves your mitigations by 5% by default. Fury of Blades damage increased by 5%. Born for Combat now gives you a damage buff 1% per enemy hit, 10% max, 15 second duration. Born for Combat now requires you to hit only 5 times to be available, and Born for Combat damage increased by 25%. Rend Bleed damage increased 10 to 20% greater increase for higher tiers. For the Guardians, critical defense rating for the bolster effect has been significantly reduced.
Anything that reduces critical defense is not my favorite, but I suppose I'll manage.
All right. For Lore Master, Ents Go to War damage has been increased.
That is a good thing.
For the Runekeeper, power cost for Static Surge has been reduced, and Shocking Works damage has been slightly increased. And for questies and adventure areas, Bounty Quest to hunt the proto-creatures is now properly set to Small Fellowship.
Well, that's going to break some people's hearts.
Okay, that is...
Especially the people who've been running them as raids.
Yes, but I can see them because, let's face it, you and I together, I think, were able to take on, in a duo, we're able to take on a proto once.
Oh, yeah. We've done it more than once.
We've done it more than once. So that does demonstrate that, yeah, they were probably intended for small fellowships.
Yeah, as I say, because we did them on different combinations of characters, too. And we've done all of them at least once.
So then, on to missions and delvings. Delving orc tunnels now only persist for 2 minutes and then disappear. During this time, they release enemies every 20 seconds for a total of 6 possible enemies.
So, Pinelink, is that because of shoddy construction, you think?
You mean the fact that the orc tunnels are going in
Yeah.
there? I guess that's a possibility.
Which contractor should we go with? Anybody but the orcs.
Yes. It was... So we don't want to do anything with the Target construction company, I guess. There we go.
That's another one that you can do for your computer things, Krister. Not that you need more ideas. But Target construction, that could be fun.
Well, based on a comment Pinelink made earlier about the rent armor, I was thinking, well, they have legendary armor. What about rental armor?
Ooh. Or is that just when they give you their pants?
That's right. I did have a new raid rule last night, didn't we?
Well, not only did we have the new raid rule, but I mean, think about all of those rangers that just are like, here, have my pants. Here, take my shirt. Here, have some shoes.
Well, maybe they're seamstresses and tailors as well.
Right?
Very well. Yeah, that's it for the update. I think that's update 39 Bulver build. And we'll, of course, have another one most likely next week. And, of course, there has been some people have been wondering, when is update 39 going to be released? Well, we just got a post from Court Event that was talking about adjustments that they are making to the public event schedule. And some of these may give you a pretty good idea on when it's going to happen. First of all, they're saying, the first one, of course, is something you probably noticed if you're VIP, and that is they have added VIP daily free gold Hobbit presents, and that is currently underway where VIPs are getting Hobbit presents every day, and it's lasting until March the 6th. And also, they are extending the plus 10% Virtue XP boost that was set to begin on February 22nd and to now end on 3 a.m. on March the 4th instead of its original end date of February 26th. And they added a VIP event boost that began on 10 a.m. on March 7th and will continue until early March 11th. And they're shifting the start of the Spring Festival to begin at 10 a.m. on March the 12th. Spring Festival now concludes on April the 1st. And that they expect that the legendary item cap to increase to 520 to happen around March the 12th. Now, seeing how that you're going to need an update to the game in order to have the legendary item eye level cap increase and to start the Spring Festival, we are thinking that there's a possibility then that they are attempting to get update 39 out for March the 12th. Unless they're trying to give themselves a little bit of wiggle room by having it out before then. But I'd say that March the 12th is the latest date in which they expect to have that update out. So that's what we think. So we're most likely the raid will be out around then, at least the tier 1 version of it, plus the new instances. Assuming, of course, there are no major setbacks, which have been known to happen in the past. Also, this week we had a casual stroll with Scenario where he went through Central and Eastern Gondor, and I do have a link to the video in the show notes. And if you live in the New England area and feel you have time in which to try to have a little meetup with the people at LOTRO and Standing Stone Games, there is a PAX East meetup on March 21st, and that is going to be at the Harpoon Boston Brewery that's 306 Northern Avenue in Boston, and that'll be from 7 p.m. through 11 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, March 21st. And they do have a link there's a link in the show notes to Cordovan's message, and there is a link to Boston Brewery's website. And you join us at Harpoon Brewery at the Boston Seaport for a party. Standing Stone Games will be teaming up with their friends, Dark Paul Games, who do EverQuest and EverQuest 2, to host a meetup at one of Boston's premier breweries. RSVPs are required. Also, there is currently a plus 10% Virtue XP bonus, and it's running now through March the 3rd. You're feeling more virtuous?
I'm just not complaining that it's not taking nearly as much effort to bump M's virtues up.
Okay. Anything that helps, right?
Anything that helps.
Yes. And of course, we have our usual store sales. So, Cinders, what's on sale this week?
This is one of Sanswinda's most favorite sales.
Ooh.
Yes, because you can accelerate your adventure and get 20% off. You can get Gift of the Valar, Blessing of the Valar, Aria the Valar level boost to 105, Valar level boost to 120, Valar level boost to 130, Mithril coins all the way through February 29th, as well as the weekly coupon has a free plus 20% mount speed for 6 hours. The coupon code is FASTMOUNT, FASTMOUNT, all caps with no spaces, also through February 29th.
Wonderful.
Wait, I think we got to caution people because I don't think people really understand the risks of Valaring. All right. So just remember, when you decide to take a short route, just like Yoda happened to mention about the dark side, yep, it's quicker. You get more. Yep, you get more stuff right up front. But remember, every time your horse levels, little horses are going to dance around you. And every single person around you that knows how to play the game will know that you're a fraud, that you just leveled yourself up. Because a real person would have had their horse leveled by the time you reached that level. You don't. And we know. Mainly I'm saying this out of embarrassment when I realized that. when my horse leveled, and I was like, oh my goodness, everybody can tell I'm a noob.
Horse grats for everybody. But it is a
Credit horse grats.
It is a fantastic way to be able to access new content, especially if you're finding that grinding in some of the lower areas is a little bit difficult, or you just want to see the new stuff and not get squashed flat. So I've used Valar boosts on Cinderina. Emerlina was not Valar boosted. Sans has used them on multiple characters as well. So, I mean, it's kind of fun to just pop a character up and roll with it. So I think Pineleaf has used some too, right? You've used a booster too, Valar?
Generally, when I use
None of
them,
us are innocent.
They're the ones that I got from the pre-orders.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many I've actually purchased. There might be one or two that I've purchased, but most of them are from the pre-orders.
We find out that Pineleaf has hundreds of level 140 tunes out there.
Well, there are limits to how many you can have on any one account and server. But yeah, no, Valars are really nice, especially if you want to get to a specific area, or if you've already leveled a tune and you want another one just for some options and to be able to see things a little bit differently. I know one of the reasons that Sans and I have done them have been to have characters that were starting in the exact same spot, and that we could intentionally plan to be able to work well together. So,
what a concept.
Right? This was after our Captain Guardian duo that we rolled. So, we figured out there were some other combinations that were a little more effective at moving forward together. In a timely manner.
In a timely manner. Not so that there's only one that could summon the other.
Yes. Which was also one of the ironies that we didn't think about when we did it. It did work out nicely, though, because she's better at jumping. So that one tower that you have to, jump to get to the top of, yeah, we're pretty sure her captain is still parked up there so that she can summon all of my alts when they get there.
Now, that's some dedication.
Yep. So, teamwork makes the dream work.
One of those team building sessions.
Yes, that basically sound like, hey, Sans, I can't do this. Would you do it? And then just summon me.
That's what you mean by teamwork.
And my wonderful sister says yes.
All right. Then let's then head into our next session where we are going to have a little thinking about, and this has to do with our one of those memorable zones, Eregion.
So, would you like me to provide the background for this, Pineleaf?
I suppose we can go into that.
So, Pineleaf and I were playing LOTRO on Thursday afternoon, and I don't even actually know how we got started talking about Holly specifically. But
how do we ever get talking into anything?
We had a small bit of a disagreement on whether or not holly is a tree or a bush. And in my experience, which has not included live holly plants, it's always included seeing them depicted in television or reading about them in a book or seeing a picture, holly is a bush. And Pineleaf has a holly tree near his home. And he was like, nope, it's definitely a tree. And I was like, I mean, there are lots of things that we call trees that are really, they're bushes. We just prune them and make them grow a certain way. And so we looked it up. And there is no true consensus, but we did learn a few fun things about, the connections between our lovely LOTRO game world and real life. One of which is why we get ilex wood from holly trees in Eregion.
Or actually, ilex wood is from Moria.
Oh, it's in Moria. It's not in Aragian.
No. You're right. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, great! Now you guys are gonna start arguing about this one too.
Oh, hold it. I think the areas very close to the gates of Moria might give supreme level, in which case they would give ilex also.
Yeah. So, would you like to explain why ilex and holly go together, Pineleaf?
Oh, that is because ilex is, of course, the Latin word for holly.
And what we discovered is that some holly plants are trees, and some holly plants are bushes. So you have to actually know the species of the holly.
Actually, it looks like I get the impression of even knowing the species might not give the answer because it might have to do with how much nutrients and all that stuff. I remember in my yard I talked about having that holly tree that's in front of my yard, which is as tall as my house, and I got a 3-story house, and so to me that's a tree. If it's 3 stories high, it's a tree in my mind at least. And
wow, what is? I don't think many trees make the cut. What are
3
all the other
stories
ones
high?
referred to as?
Well, actually, some people have their cutoff point at 10 meters, which is about
Oh, that's too funny.
which is about as tall as my house is, right? So yes, that's the right. So it's so that's why I'm saying it looks like a tree to me. To me, if it's that tall, it's a tree. So, but there were also at one time there were 2 shrubs in front of my house that were also hollies. So that might be more of the type of holly that other people are used to, or these tiny little shrubs.
Yeah. I have to say that would be my experience too, was to see them in shrub form or in display form in such a way that they're interpreted as a shrub.
Yeah, so that's what it is. So it seems like there, and I know that Tolkien, I'm trying to think if he ever uses the word tree, because I've been wanting to, I was thinking about what do they say exactly in the Fellowship of the Ring and what words, but I think he uses the word tree when he's referring to the hollies that are at the Gates of Moria. He's talking about these big, huge hollies that are on either side of the Gates of Moria. You know how when you go into the Gates of Moria and you see these 2 hollies?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so the tree would make far...
Right. And of course you have those holly horns that you have in LOTRO.
Yes. So TolkienGateway.net says that holly was a thorny evergreen species of ilex, and in Middle Earth it was especially abundant in the land of Holland, which took its name from this tree. The Sindarin word for holly was ereg, and the references for this are The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring Goes South, and Christopher Tolkien as the editor of the Silmarillion Appendix, Elements in Kenya, and Sindarin Names.
I think that goes pretty much in there. So yes, there are hollies all over the place in there. I guess sometimes we have to go through there and say, okay, now which of these are the small hollies? Which of these are big ones? And maybe there's an arborist listening who could settle this whole thing.
And think about how much more dramatic that scene would have been in the movies when the Ents were attacking Orthanc, if there were holly Ents. And the holly Ents had a bunch of little holly shrubs on them, so they ran in, jumped over the wall, and then 50 holly shrubs just shot off them and started attacking the orcs and fighting them.
It's like your idea of hobbits in saddlebags, that you can carry on your war steed and then just chuck.
Yeah, I want to put a papoose on the front of my war steed and mount a hobbit in it, and then the hobbit could just be firing their little bow the entire time. So it's basically like a turret on a battleship, But this battleship tramples.
This battleship tramples. Yeah, I can imagine. Trampling battleship.
That would be an impressive sight. You think about it. You think
what, a trampling battleship?
A big paddle wheel in front where it just hits the ship and the other ship and sinks it and just drags underneath it. keel hauls it. I've not as much caffeine as other times in the past, but I've drank quite a bit of caffeine today. Just want to put that out there.
Okay. Let's just do that. But in any case, we were just having this little debate on whether or not a holly can be a tree and things like that. And at least from my experience in hearing in literature, I guess Tolkien is one of the main ones on there in The Ring Goes South, where that gets talked about quite a bit as they are heading on through Helene and, of course, eventually reaching the gates of Moria, where you will have those final two trees in there. And one of the things that the Tolkien professor found interesting, because our field trip this week was to the gates of Moria. And one of the things that we noted there is that they were not sure, because in Lord of the Rings, they made it sound like as if the Watcher in the Water had ripped out the hollies and completely uprooted them and stuff like that. But of course, the Fellowship did not actually see the Watcher do that because they ran inside. And so they heard a sound as if. And the developers decided, well, since they didn't say that they actually ripped it out, they decided to leave the trees standing but severely damaged by the events that when the company went through there.
That is an interesting way to handle that. Because you don't really know.
Because you don't 100% know. And there are a number of things that, well, do you know what really happened? And that's when the developers have their fun.
Yes. So, if you're listening and you would like to weigh in with Holly-related comments, we would love to hear them to fuel our further conversations about this.
Okay, anything from the chat?
Nope. We have one listener, and I think it's us.
Oh, well.
I mean, we're pretty fantastic. But
yeah, some days.
That's right.
I think there's zero value add beyond what we've already said at this point, though, with us in the chat.
Then let's head to our week in gaming. Krister, what were you up to?
Well, last night the call went out, and again we had an abundance of kin mates and kin allies show up last night, and we got a raid together, and we went ahead and did Os Dunoth, and we ran all the wings because we had, I think, 4 people that had not done it at all. And it was a lot of fun. I think we had a lot of fun lowering the level, so it was easier. But it was good because we got to show people how challenging the channels are doing that fight where you have to rely on other teams to hit their levers to get you to advance, and the craziness of that fight. And overall, it was I think everybody had a lot of fun, and the main thing I'm feeling is that a lot of people are really starting to look forward to the new raid and being prepared for it. And so there's been a lot of talk about preparation. Once again, there's been comments made on the lack of my equipment, so I'm going to be doing another equipment review tomorrow. But all said and done, we had a great experience last night, and we're looking forward to more raiding. In ESO, I joined a guild that Terry had joined that was kind of a training guild, and I went and did some PvP with them today, and that was fun. It was fun. That's the only way I'd want to do it, in a giant group where I can run away and there's a bunch of people around me that will hurt the people that are attacking me. It's awesome. And then this week I've been doing some Axis and Allies, and I've been working on some creative projects. All in all, a good, nice, easy week. Cinders, what'd you get up to?
So I drug Pine Leaf through Felgoth, and the southern or northern Mirkwood, or whatever that area of Mirkwood is that's by Felgoth, long enough that we completed some deeds and were able to both get fishing poles from the elves. So we have what I understand to be the best fishing poles in the game right now for further fishing adventures. And I think we have just 2 deeds left to complete in there besides the treasures. Right, Pine? It's just the Shadows of Caristillion and the Targrim, I think, that we have to complete in there.
Yeah, something like that.
And then I did the Ostunhoth raid with Ploy and discovered that M is small enough that she can actually hide behind Krister's shield, which is kind of fun. And if I change her outfits out of pink into other colors, she can almost blend in with the surroundings and really be invisible. So I had some fun with that too in between doing the wings. I had never done Ostunhoth before, so I got my tier 1 completion for the first 2 wings, and that was nice because I didn't know there was a deed for it till we did it. But seeing the Mumax coming after you, the elephants down those channels, and knowing that they were a mechanic and that you couldn't mez them, you couldn't slow them down, you couldn't distract them, and you were like totally reliant on other people to do their part, even when it was lower level, knowing that you could be insta-dead added an adrenaline rush to it that sometimes isn't there for some of the other things that we do. And I didn't even have my audio on, so I couldn't hear the noises it was making or anything like that. I could just see it coming down the channel. And we did wipe a few times, but it was fun, and I feel like I learned quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to continuing to raid with Ploy. Also this week, I completed the Lost Lore of the Elves and the Dwarves in that area, and I just need the Lost Lore of Men to have completed the set from the expansion with Dale and Erebor and Felgoth. So I'm excited because I'll finally get those quests out of my quest log and never have to see them again. Finally, what were you up to?
I will begin with my warden, who finally started questing in Umbar Baharbel.
Whoop,
I
whoop.
know. Yes. That's the problem with my warden being the one that's being recorded, is that I have to go at a different pace than the rest of the characters, because I think my Runekeepers finished it, my Lore Masters finished it, and my Mariners finished it. So I have 3 classes that finished the area. I'm trying to think, is there any other? No, because I know that my Hunter is still halfway through it. My Brawler is just getting started. So yes, I'm working my way through the classes. Now, my Lore Master has just entered Enidwythe. So we're heading through there. So I was recently going through, Eregion, so out of that zone. And now we're going into Enidwythe, started in that area. And I found it interesting here because there is this quest where you are sent to investigate the rumors that Saruman has sent forces to blockade it. You go there and you go through this chest there that says, yes, we have blockaded the area and all this stuff. And it sounds a bit funny now, seeing how the blockade seems to be a lot less effective these days than it was back in the past when I first did the quest. Because, of course, there's no longer really a blockade there, just some half-orcs or what matter, and some brigands there. Actually, I think it's the brigands that are there now, but they were getting help from the Urukai, who went further down into Helene. But, of course, if you kill them, then you can just march your way into Swanfleet. So, there's no real blockade there anymore, because the gates to Swanfleet are now open. So there's this entire story thing that was there to tell us why you could not get head towards Breeland from this road. And of course, now you can. So, little things where stories don't quite work all that well together now, because now you can just waltz your way through there. Yeah, maybe after you kill 1 or 2 orcs. Or brigands, I guess, in this case. And that is it for my week in gaming. So let us then look at our final thoughts here. We record on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and we record DDO Players, our sister show, when Drac is available. You can join us for our shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight, then. This is Piling Noodles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.